Hey guys, I am Arpit and I welcome you to the new episode of the Jazz Nation community. And it's going to be a power packed episode with Mr. Vishesh Bajaj. Mr. Vishesh is a founder of Not9, which is a media company based out of Faridabad, Haryana. Uh, so what Not9 does is they produce Indian stock footages. So anyone who has run an ad on Facebook or an Instagram or even hoardings for that matter. So you must have come across Shutterstock, which is an international stock footage company. So like if you run an ad for say like an Indian audience and if you're using an American guy or an Australian guy, it looks really cheap, right? So I really love this idea what Mr. Vishesh Bajaj and Not9 came up with. You can go check it out. It's not9.com. They have some really killer videos. If you want to use it for your ad, you can just drop them a mail. So I hope you will like this. So make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon on YouTube. If you're listening to this on Spotify, just follow me on Spotify or any of your preferred streaming platform that you're listening to this on. I hope you love this, and I see you on the other side, sir.
So the idea behind Not9 was, see, we run a production house called Soul Curry since last 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
So during our journey, we realized that a lot of times we require stock videos. And what happens, like there are some platforms like Shutterstock, Pond5, and few more platforms.
Yeah.
So the problem with Indian stock videos is like either they're very costly or they're very hard to find.
Yeah.
So even when we were working for our productions, we realized that it is very difficult to get good stock videos which are like cost effective. So that's how we thought, like we are working in this industry since so many years. We have a team, we have editing setup, we have a post production setup, we have a production setup. Why not give it a try?
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I mean it is tougher than what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because the
Because you're doing
challenge
it
is,
on such a large scale. Like I saw you did 5,000 videos initially. I'm like 5,000 videos.
yeah. So I mean 5,000 sounds a lot, but frankly speaking, from a stock media industry, this is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk about these international players like Adobe and Shutterstock, they have millions of these footages.
Of course.
So that's where I was talking about the challenge. The challenge was, so first of all, I tell you like what is Not9. So in Not9, our forte is we work with Indian stock videos.
Yeah.
We work with only Indian models, and we work with all Indian scene and setting. Yeah. So we are not at all focusing on stock videos which are from outside India, be it travel or be it editorial or commercial content. We only hire models which are based, which are Indian looking models. Okay, we hire only Indian models, and we do Indian scene and setting. Yeah. And also we are also focusing on a lot of items. Like if you go on these foreign websites, let's say if I talk about onion. Yeah. The onion available in US would be very different from onion available in India.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
And
but
it also looks very fake if you use like a model from outside. Yeah.
Yes. So that's what I mean. So a lot of people use these food shots wherein like they have those onions, big onions and big lemons that look like a orange kind of a size. So those look very fake if you talk those in terms of Indian context. So that's how we felt that if we can fill that gap wherein like we can produce good footage at low cost and we can give it to the people to use.
Yeah.
Okay. So with our strength of doing large scale video production at low cost, we thought we could fill that gap.
Have you had a formal training in films?
Not really. No? So I am a technical. So my background is like a technology guy. So I'm a technology plus management guy.
Yeah.
So I
did engineering, did MBA later.
Yeah. So I'm not a creative guy. So although I'm into creative business, but I put in my maximum efforts in like processor engineering, efficiency of the work, how can we bring down the cost. For the creativity, I leave it to the directors or the cinematographers. I say, boss, you take care of it. This is not my cup of tea. I'll just look at the content from the user perspective.
Yeah.
I would not unnecessarily give them the feedback that
lighting ऐसी होनी
चाहिए. Yeah, right. I just say that this does not look good to me. Maybe this is a little dark, but the lighting is not good. Just change that. Whichever way you want to achieve it, that is your specialization. I don't actually unnecessarily put my nose into that.
How big is your team?
So our team is approximately 28-30 people right now.
Yeah.
This is Soul Curry plus Knot9. So Knot9 is actually working under Soul Curry. So the company is Soul Curry. So Knot9 is brand under Soul Curry.
All of them are in the same office? Do they work together?
Yeah, all of them are in the same office. We have a different studio. The studio is on a different floor. I mean, we are nearby, like 4th floor we have office and another floor we have a studio where we shoot.
Yeah. So what does your general day at work looks like? Like, how do you start your day? What goes on?
So you are talking about COVID schedule or non-COVID schedule?
General, life in general.
Okay, so life in general is like, you know what, when I was working in TCS, so I had a very haphazard schedule. You know, so we used to go office and we used to come late because of some requirements, client requirement and everything. So our schedule used to be very, very haphazard. And sometimes I felt that there was not right balance of professional and personal life. You know, so when I started this company, I had a very clear objective in mind that we should have a very great balance between personal and professional life.
Yeah.
So although this is very different than a traditional media industry, wherein like late nights is very common scenario, and people boast about saying that यार 3 nights से काम कर रहा हूँ यार मैं तो 3 रात लगा हुआ, right? सुट्टा मारा, चाय पी, कॉफी पी और edit पे टेबल पे बैठ गए, right? So I
that's how filmmakers like to work also.
Yes. So I discourage that kind of environment.
Yeah.
So we try to work like 9:30 to 7 kind of environment, including for me as well as for my employees in my office. So if somebody wants to sit late, we say that you keep the key and you work late. We don't have an issue, right? And in fact, when we started 12 years back, so when you start initially, आपको बहुत enthu होता है. We want to have the best culture. We want to have this and that. So I used to have flexible hours. You complete 8 hours. Whenever you want to come, whenever you want to go, it is up to your wish. Like it is up to your will.
If they do overtime, do they get paid more?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So initially it was like when they used to come at 12 p.m. and then go at 10 p.m. in the night, but that was not really feasible. So I realized that someone is coming at 12 p.m. Then his colleague is coming at 9:30 because it suits him, because that colleague is married. He has a kid. He gets up early because his kid go to school. Then I realized that is not really workable. So now we actually, so I also try to come to office at 9:30, maximum by 10 o'clock. And we work like till 6:37, like we do our best efforts in that 8 to 9 hours of effort. And I think most of the times we realize that 95% of the times our work gets wind up in that time.
Yeah.
Production happens late night depending on the schedule and all, because in office most of the time post productions, content writing, technology team, so those people are in the office. Production team is not here.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So apart from the creative team, they are obviously working on their films and everything. So what's your like, you know, what do you personally like give your time to in the whole day?
So my time partially goes to client handling.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of clients. So we have a few clients in US and some clients in India. We don't have a very big pool of clients because we focus mainly on clients which can give us repetitive work. So we have clients like, for them we work like in a month we might be working with them for 10 to 12 days in a month.
What do these clients look like? Are these ad agencies?
No, these are some ad agencies, some clients in the media domain, some clients from the technology industry, people who require videos on a regular basis. So we do ad hoc work also. Let's say a manufacturing company requires a documentary or someone wants to make a YouTube video. We do ad hoc also, but we generally don't pitch those services like, so most of that work comes through word of mouth. Okay? Because we focus more on clients which actually can give us recurring work. Because the reason for that is like we utilize our, we have built an in-house production management system. So as I told that I come from a technology and management background, I was working for a technology company. So we have built an in-house production management system. So using that production management system, we have the capability of producing thousands of videos every month. So it's like if we compare with a retail or a marketing sector, you have a content management system, right?
Yeah.
Or content management system for the publishing industry, or a CRM system for a retail or a sales industry. So similarly, we have a production management system. So whenever we are making any video, so the script for that video gets entered into the system, the voiceover gets entered into the system, the plan gets into the system. After the video is edited, editor is part of that. So editor knows that when he has to edit on that. So
how long is the process of a general video? Like when you start?
Yeah, so process depends on client to clients. So there are clients, for them we produce maybe 400 videos a month. For them,
what are you saying? 400 videos?
Yeah, right. So for them, maybe in a day we are churning out 3-4 videos, 5 videos a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than that. Okay. And then there are clients, for them maybe we are churning out a video 3 or 4, one video in 3 or 4 days.
So how big is the team? Like, how do you hire freelancers as well for this?
So not exactly freelancers. So it's kind of a very hybrid model. So I have a friend who has a camera rental team.
Yeah.
So he takes care of all my production work. Directors are freelance. So directors we don't keep in-house, because every project require a different skill set. So we don't keep directors in-house. So directors are freelancers. Voiceover artists are freelancers. Some script writers are freelancers. Some script writers are in-house, right? So cinematographer is actually, it is taken care by my friend. I mean, he has his own rental company. So all camera work is taken care by him. So it's kind of a hybrid model.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. Like, how did you reach to this decision that you want to work in like such a niche industry? Like, how did you like decide this, that I want to do this for the rest, like not for the rest of the life, but at least for the 10 years or like 15 years?
So I would say that getting into production was never a plan when I left my job. So we wanted to build a platform like YouTube. I mean, when we started that time, YouTube was quite new. I mean, it was not taken over by Google. So we were trying to build a platform for videos, not exactly like YouTube, but it was a platform for professional travel videos. We did make videos. We did make around
I read that on your Soul Curry intro. That was the
right.
Yes.
So we did shoot around maybe 50-60 countries, and we did make around 1,000 videos, travel videos. These are all professional videos.
Yeah.
But somehow we were not able to monetize it, and you understand that production is quite costly affair. I mean, and outside India, it is multifold. The cost is multifold, right? So we were not able to exactly actually monetize those videos which we produced, and actually get decent revenues from those travel video bank, from that travel video bank.
Yeah.
So then few opportunities came. Some people, some companies approached us, and they wanted us to produce videos for them at scale. So initially when we started, the first opportunity came in yellow pages industry, right?
Yeah.
So like you have these platforms wherein like they are listing platforms, they list businesses, right?
Of course.
Like
we still get yellow pages.
Yeah. So like Zomato's, IndiaMart, they're not our client, the industry. I'm just talking about the industry, right?
Yeah.
So we started doing videos, small business videos for them.
Yeah.
That's how we entered into video production. But I still say that my strength is into technology and operations.
Of course.
Right. So I would say that, when we started, so the company is 12-year-old. 3-4 years we were working on travel videos. Then we actually started doing large-scale content creation. So initially we were doing like, maybe we were taking 8 to 10 days to produce one video. Then within span of 3-4 years, we reached a stage like within one day we were producing 8 to 10 videos. Right? So that is
one
my
video
strength.
in 8 days sounds human, but like 8 videos in a day, it goes crazy. Like you at least need a team of say 150, 200 people to actually execute that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, right. So that's where I spent most of my time during that period, and still I keep on working. I mean, although the scope of improvement is not that much, which it used to be. I mean, 7-8 years. 7-8 years earlier.
Yeah. Reason being?
So reason being, I mean, the process is already so efficient. I mean, definitely, I mean, when the scope of efficiency was much, I mean, when 8 years back, the efficiency was not much, the scope was also high to improve. Now the process is already so efficient, the scope is less, scope is not that much to improve. And we have already built our that time the technology platform was also not very stable. So now the technology platform is stable, the process is stable. So I would say that the scope for improving it further is reduced. But we keep on improving, we keep on working. I keep on doing reverse engineering the process as we onboard new clients. So we definitely have to adopt a process as per the new client. So the way it works is like, so in Soulcurry, when we onboard a new client, so we adopt a process as per them. So let's say they have a different approval process. So let's say I onboard a client X. So we are doing a video for them. The client says that to give me an approval on video, when an editor uploads that video in the production management system, that video would be approved by 3 people in hierarchy. So we have to adopt that hierarchy in our system. Right? So those kind of things. So then someone would say that I need a video in 4 formats. One for TikTok, one for, let's say, square format for Facebook, one horizontal format for YouTube. So everybody and somebody, then they would have some technical...
this happens after the approval you get from them, no?
Yes. So this is the final delivery.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you acquire the initial clients? How did you reach out to them?
So whatever am I discussing right now, these are all related to Soulcurry. I mean, if you have anything related to Knot9, so Knot9 have a different challenges, different clientele, everything different. So you can actually ask about that. So for Soulcurry, most of the work is like word of mouth. As I said that as our focus is, we are not looking for maybe 1,000 clients. We are only looking for 30, 40 or maximum 50 clients, and those are enough for us. Right? Or for that matter, even 20 good clients are enough for us. I mean, because we are working like we are getting recurring revenues from them.
And how do you plan to scale this in future? Like, is the scalability? How is the scalability going to look like? Like, is it going to be more members that are going to join you, or is it going to be like, what does the scalability in this thing looks like?
Okay, so in media industry, scalability is a big challenge when people talk about it. So that's where we have tried to solve this by using technology. You know? Because we know that if you're only dependent on people, it would be very difficult to scale it up. Okay. So we use we try to use technology as much as possible. So when I say technology as much as possible, mapping the process of production. Because when I say technology, a lot of people understand technology only means either Facebook or doing something AI or technology maybe using. So sometimes it is when I'm talking about it and when user listens to this podcast, they might get confused how we are using technology in production. Right? So when I say using technology in production, the main thing is like we are mapping the production process into our system. So for example, let's say pre-production happens. So there is a process for script approval, right? So rather than doing that script approval where people are sitting and brainstorming it, so we have a tool inside our production system so that script approval can happen in the system. So we save a lot of time and cost in communication. There are less and less of communication gap. The tracking is very easy. So as I said that for every task, we have an approval process. We know that right now the approval is stuck at which place, so that person can take an action. That person has their task for to do task list. That person knows that what he's supposed to do today when he comes to office today. So that's how we have actually tried to map that whole production process into our system, and we minimize those gaps. Right? And in terms of scalability, so definitely when we onboard a new client, there is some gestation period, right? So during that gestation period, the scalability is low, but once we understand the requirement and once the process of that particular client is mapped into the production system, the scalability is quite good.
Great, yeah. So like, is it bootstrapped or did you get funded?
No, we are totally bootstrapped.
Yeah.
We never tried for it, and we actually never thought about it. Yeah. And then I think we are happy the way we are working, so we are satisfied.
Of course. Like, if you want to like scale it to say like an international company or something on that side, then you like like look for a
Yeah.
funding. So what does it take, like in general, to build what you have, like like a company like Soul Curry or a company like Not9? Like what sort of skills, or like say discipline, or like what sort of training is required to build something like this, which is not like a proper production house, but
So you're just a business, you are saying.
yeah, yeah.
So I think the most important thing I feel is like perseverance.
Hmm.
You know, even I have seen those faces when you start doubting about your idea.
Hmm.
I have seen failures. Other than these two, I have done some small uh, ideas in between.
Hmm.
Right now, I say small because those were failures. I mean, those definitely had a potential to go big, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I feel that the perseverance is the most important thing. And skill set, in terms of the skill set, I would say that if you're passionate about your idea, I think
Yeah.
passion and perseverance are interlinked.
Hmm.
Okay, these two things are interlinked, and definitely you also need a skill set related to the industry you are getting into,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So let's say if you want to build a product, if you're building a technology product, and let's say if you don't have a technology founder who
Hmm.
can actually take care of the technology, so you need to know technology,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm saying that either you have someone in that business who knows the nitty gritties of that particular business,
Hmm. Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
or you know it yourself,
So that they can share it
okay,
with you, at least, like you know how to do
exactly.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
So my point is, it is not necessary that you know that nitty gritty of that business. Only then you
Hmm.
can succeed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can succeed if you have passion and perseverance, okay,
Hmm.
and if you have the capacity and money to hire people who know the nitty gritty of that business, you can
Of
still
course.
succeed.
Of course. Like
But
in your
perseverance
case
and
also, like you're not like a film school, like a film student or anything of that sort, but you're
yes,
still able to do that.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Makes
So
sense.
even in my case, I feel that I have been. I mean, I feel that I have been in those phases also. When you start doubting the idea, you feel that whether it is right or wrong. You know,
When did this
sometimes
happen?
you. I mean, with Not9 itself, it happens sometimes. Not9 is still a new child. I would say that it's a still in a nascent stage.
Yeah.
I mean, we are just 2.5 year old, 3 year old right now,
Hmm.
and sometimes you feel that because right now although we are doing operational break even,
Hmm.
but the profits are not that exciting right now. We feel that we keep on working on it,
Hmm.
and but it's a long term game. When I started, I thought we might get quick success,
Hmm.
because for Not9, as I said, that the challenge for us in Not9 is like this: the whole content is produced by us.
Yeah.
So other platforms like Shutterstock, what they do is they invite contributors, and they take content from those contributors,
Yes.
right? So they have a huge scalability in that, because people are contributing on that platform.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But in India, the legal structure is so complex, and the and we don't want to get into that scenario wherein like people contribute on our platform, and we are really not sure that if they actually own that footage. So let's say, if
Hmm.
say that Arpit, I onboard you on a contributor,
Yeah.
onboard you as a contributor,
Hmm.
you steal something from YouTube or some other platform, and you give
Ah.
it to me and say that you are the owner of that clip. I
Yeah.
have I have I have no way to figure that out, that whether you own that clip or not, right?
There
And
has to be a tracking system for that, in it. Like,
no, there is no tracking system.
hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so it is very
I mean,
difficult to
I saw
actually
that in some sort of documentary. Like, there's Shazam for music, right? You can list, like, you can Shazam the music, and you can know which artist does it belong to, or like that sort of stuff. Maybe there's a thing for film also, but yeah,
but
if it's
but
someone
but
else's,
yeah, so but that might be limited to a particular library.
huh?
Okay,
Yeah,
so that might not be available to the all music all around available all around in the
of
US,
course.
or in the world, right? So
Hmm.
let's say I create a music, I keep it in my laptop. Let's say
Hmm.
I share it on maybe a very small platform, or maybe I put it on Facebook, let's say, for that matter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, you
Hmm.
steal it, or you check on that particular platform, I feel that it would be difficult to find out whether that
Of
music
course.
belongs to me or not,
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
right?
Of course,
So
makes sense.
similarly, so Not9, the scalability, so 5,000 videos are still a lot. Okay, so I
Yeah,
mean that is huge in terms of a production company,
yeah.
but comparing it with the competitors in US or the other places, so that ways I think we need more videos here.
So how do you
So I
like
think
copyright this thing? Like, what's your process for copyrighting the content that you got?
so as per the law, I mean, so we shoot it in house,
Yeah.
right? Shot by us in house. We have whatever uh, all the legal documentation is done whenever we do any shoot. People we show in the videos, we get a appearance release signed from them. We whatever creative things are used, any painting or anything is used, we
Yeah.
get a uh, what do you call location release for that. So all the documentation is done by us in house. So we own the copyright for each and every piece we do for Not 9.
Beautiful.
So that actually gives a comfort to the client for using it, so that they know that we are doing it in house. So they get really comfortable knowing that the work is done in house. So we own the content and we have the copyright for that content.
Beautiful. Yeah. That actually, like in the creative industry, going through the legal process and everything is really hectic. Yeah. Not many artists or like companies in general go through that process.
Yeah. So again, I think technology is savior for us in that.
Yes.
So you if you want to know, like let's say 2 years back, shoot done on 4th of March. Who were the people in that shoot? Where is their legal document? If someone asks me that kind of question, I can give you in two minutes. So that's how we are so comfortable. We are so sure about it. Like, this is owned by us, done by us. We have everything in written. Everything is signed by the artist working on that. Footage is there. Every footage is time stamped. So every footage is given an ID in the system. We can track it by that ID. So everything is trackable in our system.
How do you feel about it? Like, since now you have built it to this scale, like, how do you feel about it that it was your brainchild, like, say, 13, 14 years back, and now it's like a full-fledged tree? And
yeah, it feels good. I mean, it feels good, but I still say that my philosophy is like, we always, I tell my team also that you should always think that you are a startup. Don't get into mode thinking that we're a 12-year-old company and we can be relaxed. We can relax and we not worry about what others are doing. And I think it is not about being a 12-year-old company or a 1-year-old company. I feel that it's a philosophy. When you work for a startup, it's a philosophy. You're always on the go.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was working in big companies, like when I was working for big corporates before this, so for every problem, there is a specialist for every problem.
Yeah.
For us, in a 28, 30 people team, we tell people that you have to work on multiple things. You cannot just keep waiting for, like, if you're facing a problem, you cannot just keep waiting for like someone else will come and solve it. So we say that don't think about that. Start solving it right now.
Elaborate a little more on that.
In the sense, let's say, I would say that there was a case. I will give you 2 examples. So there was a case. A company came and they said that they wanted videos from us, and we did production for them, and they wanted a video in a certain format, and we had not worked in that format, and the editors were not aware that this format, how they can convert into that particular format. So you understand, nowadays mobile devices are there, then live streaming happens. Then you have TikTok, different version for TikTok, different version for Facebook. So there was some unique requirement, and client wanted in a very different format and some different technical specification, which we had not worked on it, right? So editor came up to me and said that, sir, I don't know, ye kaise hoga? Maine bola, even I don't know. So I tell my team, whenever you have a problem, before asking me, spend time on Google for 2 hours. If you can't figure that out, come to me. Right. So and I feel that 90% of the times they're able to solve it. So this is a philosophy I try to actually tell people to adopt. Don't expect to be spoon fed. Try to solve the problem. Be a problem solver. Don't be a problem creator, or don't just sit on the problem. Okay. So and he came up with a problem. Sir, shayad aisa lag raha hai, aisa ho jayega. I said, very good. Go and solve it. And if you're not able to solve it by the end of the day, tell me, I'll sit with you. By the end of the day, he could solve it.
Yes.
So for me also, even if I don't know, I spend time on it and I sit with them. And most of the times I feel that 90 to 95% of times we're able to solve it.
What are some like problems that occur on regular basis? Like, what sort of? Is it
So
is it the creative problem? Is it the business issues? Like what sort of problems occupy the
so I
major part?
think couple of problems we face. One problem we face, like on a creative side, a lot of times when we work in a creative field.
Hmm.
So I think sometimes on a client side, the brief is not clear. We do something, we shoot something. When the final output comes, sometimes it can be a genuine mistake from our side also, but
Yeah.
sometimes it is mistake from the client side also. So
Hmm.
I feel that sometimes there are gaps in the communication. So I feel that sometimes there we face a problem, payment gets stuck. Sometimes we don't get paid also.
Hmm.
So that is one problem we face.
Yeah.
Second problem I face, being a small company, sometimes we face challenges like hiring people.
Uh-huh.
So that I face more in a technology team, especially
Yeah.
in a creative team. For a creative team, we have a very fancy office, big office, because for a creative team, people production houses like चार
Hmm.
चार पांच पांच लोगों के भी होते हैं. तो creative में I don't face
Hmm.
problem.
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Hmm.
face problem in the technology team,
Hmm.
because we try to hire good people. Okay, so for a technology guy who's talented and who is good, they would definitely have multiple offers.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
convincing them to join a small company is a challenge for us, right?
What is your hiring
And
process? Sorry, you were saying that.
yeah, so for us, technology is quite stable for us. Although for a technology team also, we keep on working on challenging problems.
Hmm.
But we per se is not creating a technology product. Technology is an
Of
enabler
course.
for us.
Hmm.
So when
Hmm.
these technology guys, I mean, either they are looking to join a startup which are working on a very technology, which are working on a technology product.
Yeah.
So in the technology team hiring, we face those kind of challenges.
Hmm.
Challenges, but in creative team, I think as such there is no challenge for hiring. So we have a
Hmm.
fancy office. 30 team for a creative team is a good, decent enough
Of
team.
course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So hiring is like a common problem with almost all of the companies, right? It's like a rigorous activity that happens almost every day. So what is
Yeah.
your hiring process looks like?
So fortunately, hiring is not that big a problem for us. We have people who are working with us since 10 years, 12
Hmm.
years. I still have the first guy who joined our company. He's still with us.
Hmm.
In between, he went to some other company. 2 years he worked in some other company. Now he's back with us.
Yeah.
He's CTO of our company, because initially when we started, we were a technology company 12 years back. Now we
Hmm.
are a media company.
Yeah.
So as such, the iteration rate is very low in our company.
Hmm.
Just because I said that we try to keep a very good environment here, a very transparent environment. I have a very open door policy, not just for the sake of saying open door policy. It is like I sit where people sit. I sit with them. I eat with them. So I tell them, if anything is actually troubling you, which is actually impacting your problem, actually impacting your work in the office, that is my problem. Be it is
Yeah.
your personal
Yeah.
problem or professional problem.
Of
If
course.
you feel that something is troubling you and it is impacting your efficiency, that is my problem. Come up to
Hmm.
me. I'll do my best efforts to solve that problem. Right. So that is
Yeah.
my philosophy. And because of those small things, I mean, which we do in the office as a collective, as a team, so iteration rate is quite low.
Hmm.
But still attrition happens, no doubt in that.
Yeah.
So I do the hiring. So I don't involve anybody else in the hiring process except the initial 2 rounds, when the initial calling is done, or brief, or the initial screening is done. For that, I have hired a consultant.
Hmm.
That consultant does that.
Yeah.
And after that, interview or giving them the some assignment for the testing or the final offer, everything I do it, because I have my own recruiting process which I've
Hmm.
devised myself. So I have certain criterias. I judge people on their behavior. I
Hmm.
judge people on their discipline. I judge
Yeah.
people on their punctuality, which are not very common.
Do you
You
do
know,
something during the interview to figure out like I heard this?
yes,
Yeah. 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 What does it tell me?
yes. See, as I said, like I talked about the punctuality thing.
Um,
Very important thing is, like, I observe like how they maintain their CV. If
hmm.
somebody is coming and just giving me CV like this, sir, this is the CV, वो
Yeah.
4 बार fold हुआ हुआ है, negative for me, right?
Yeah.
Creative industry में people are not bothered,
Uh,
so they will see मेरे सामने वो CV को ऐसे सीधा करते हैं, सर ये मेरा CV है, right? So on the other end, if someone is, let's say, is supposed to come at 12:30, right? Whether he's coming at 12:25 or whether he's coming at 12:35, or even if he's late, whether he's calling me or informing me or not, right? It is okay. I understand someone can get late. I mean, that is not a problem, but whether he's informing me or not, right? So I give them some open-ended things to do, which they are not supposed to do in front of me. They have to do it like when they go back to home. They have to report back to me. Then I understand how they have structured that problem, right? What is their thought process behind it? Even if they are taking help for someone else, that is okay. Because even in the office, they are supposed to take help from others. It is okay.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So they are supposed to solve a problem with someone else help or themselves. So these are small things. I have my own process. So I keep pointing it, keep noting those down, and then I see that what is most important for me, then finally decide like whether this person is good or bad for me.
I heard the saying of this hiring process from this guy called Ankur Warikoo, if you might have heard about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
he says,
so during the interview, he says, what I do is I just call the chai person or the coffee person during the interview, and the interview is happening, and when it's on like a high pressure situation, and the guy has to come inside and ask this guy who has come for the interview, hey, do you want chai? Do you want water? And like, if he behaves in like, if he misbehaves with that person, then he's not going to select that guy. Right. I'm like, dude, that's so crazy. Like you put that guy in a high pressure situation and you see how they're going to behave.
Yeah. No, I think this is very important. I mean, I feel that, and I'll tell you one more very important thing. Like, so when I'm hiring people, I want to understand why that guy is looking for a job, even if he's a fresher or whether he's shifting. I want to understand why he wants this particular job in my company and what is the motive behind it. Okay. Some people just say few things like random things, hike चाहिए, वो I understand, वो हर किसी को चाहिए, वो मेरे लिए matter नहीं करता. वो तो अगर आपका जो भी candidate अगर उसका वो दोनों satisfied होंगे, only then it will proceed. That is the case everywhere. But I try to understand why that guy is looking for a job. I'll tell you, a lot of candidates who come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, they outrightly get rejected because they are not dressed well. They have a supplementary in their exams. They have got 50% in 10th and 12th. They don't have a good communication skills. A lot of people say that communication skills is not good. They actually mean to say that the English is not good. But there are a lot of profiles where English does not matter.
Of course, right? Like say for a cinematographer, usme kya zarurat hai?
Exactly. Communication skills is like the guy should be just good at, should be able to communicate what they want to say. So for the profiles where English is not important, it does not matter to me whether that person has supplementary or 40% marks or a 2-tier city or a 3-tier city. He should be dressed well. Dressed well does not mean that branded clothes. Okay. So everybody comes from a different financial structure. Does not mean that everybody would come in a branded cloth, right? So a lot of these kind of candidates, they are very hard working, but they get rejected. So I want to understand why they want to join my company at this particular role. That is the most important thing for me. So I don't give a lot of importance to their past education, past experiences, and the past work. Okay. So I give them some test work. If they are able to satisfy my appetite, I'm happy with that. Definitely, there are some technical skill sets. They have to cross that threshold, the initial threshold or the minimum threshold. They definitely have to cross that.
What is some of the position that you hire for constantly?
So we have video editors. So video editors is like a continuous thing we hire. So we have content writers. We have voiceover artists. We have a technology team. We have administration. We keep on looking for people. So when I say administration, so this guy is actually, or this girl has multiple roles. So in a production, they will contribute in a production. So one is normal office administration. That is not a regular hiring, but production, we keep looking for people, production administration. But majorly, I would say content side, we need more people, content writing or video editing.
Yeah, makes sense. And for the technological part, like you, and there should be like a couple of people with you. And
Yes. Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, what's your inspiration in life which keeps you going on every day, like the problems that you solve every day and stuff like that? What keeps you going? What's your source of
Frankly
motivation?
speaking, yeah, frankly speaking, these kinds of questions are very common, like when we do these kind of discussions. So frankly speaking, I don't have any role model or as such any inspiration which I look forward for that this guy is an inspiration for me or this story is an inspiration for me. So I am kind of a person, I am very impulsive. I just take a lot of decisions from my heart. I mean, I just feel at that particular moment, I feel that this is good. I'll just go and take a decision and I just stick to that and I follow that. Until or unless I'm really sure that that decision is bad for me, then I leave that. But otherwise, like when I say that when I started 12 years back, so I was very, very immature, just 2 years of experience. That time the startup culture was also not there. I didn't even know the word startup that moment, that because this became a buzz 5, 6, 7, 8 years back, right? So my cousin approached me saying that I'm doing something. Do you want to do something with me? I said, यार मुझे तो पता नहीं, but I want to do something. मुझे अच्छा लगता है. I want to do. I decided I want to do.
ये as in
But I just said that
filmmaking, films अच्छी लगती है.
no, when we started the technology company 12 years back, filmmaking तो हमने pivot किया था ना, हमने वो तो pivot किया था हमने, right? So he was my cousin. I told me कि यार पापा से बात कर लेना, पापा नहीं मानेंगे, rest I am. So he said कि उनको मैं convince कर लूंगा and that's okay. So that's how I started. I mean, can you imagine? I didn't do anything, no evaluation. What is an idea? He said, I have an idea. I said कि I want to do something of my own. That is my thing. I want to do something, So that's how I started my startup journey. And coming for the inspiration, I would say there is no one person or one company I take an inspiration from. I take inspiration from small habits or small successes of other people. So if I like a habit of one person around me or maybe business leaders, so a lot of people say that this successful businessman is an inspiration for me. I say that maybe I like that. I like one particular habit of that person, so I try to adopt that.
Like, so it's not like tell me someone about, like, tell me about someone who,
like I would say that my partner is like very focused. Sometimes I actually dwindle, like whatever I'm working on, I feel that whether this is right or wrong, this strategy is right or wrong. My partner is like very focused. He would say that, yeah, this is right and let's do this. And he will keep on working on that particular thing for, let's say, maybe months and months and years and years. So I really like that habit of him. And we have seen that if we keep on working on that particular thing, ultimately it leads to success. But if you leave that thing, maybe
that goes for any idea for that matter, do you think?
Yes, I think that is all perseverance. When I started the discussion, I talked about perseverance and passion. That is what perseverance is, I feel. That just keep on working on your idea, and if you're passionate about your idea, you will feel motivated to work on that idea. So, and then in terms of inspiration, I would say that I listen to some spiritual videos. I look at some random YouTube stuff. I watch a lot of videos. I read a lot of blogs. I read a lot of stories from social entrepreneurs. I feel very motivated from them.
Motivational speakers.
Not exactly motivational speakers. I really get motivated from social entrepreneurs.
Example?
Example, a lot of people.
Gary Vee.
Sorry?
Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, these kinds.
No, not really. As I said that I am not really following anyone. It could be a small person sitting in a village doing some stuff in a village and doing something exciting or something good. I actually like to follow that person more rather than following someone who is a very big successful person. Because that successful person would sometimes cook a story also. So I feel that 80% of successful people cook stories. They cook stories around their success, or they just give a lot of fundas.
And they start believing it eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. And frankly speaking, I don't feel motivated by those. Right? If you talk about Steve Jobs, he's a visionary. He was a visionary person. People say that he was a visionary. He did a lot of things. I feel inspired from his sales abilities, the way he used to talk and all, right? But that's it. Okay, no doubt he was a great person. He's definitely a person to follow. But I feel that he's a good person because he could actually project that, right? And a lot of successful people, they project more than actually what is actually the truth.
So
and you would see that most
sorry,
and you would see that most of the successful people are good speakers.
Yes.
Right?
Or like anyone for that matter who is, who's a good orator, like in the history of humans, like good orators have always been, in demand, and they have always been popular.
Right.
Be it Gandhi, be it Hitler, be it Steve Jobs, be it anyone. Yeah, if you're a good orator, you can make your way through. Yeah. So there was this guy, a stand-up comedian, he went on this talk show and he said, I don't know what's this big thing about Steve Jobs. And everyone started looking at him. What's wrong with you? He created Apple and all. But did he create Apple? Did he actually put on those soldering and those wiring? Did he
exactly? Yeah. So he was a great marketer, no doubt in that. One of the best in the history. Yeah? So that's what I'm saying. So when I see, let's say, someone around me building I talk about a random example. Recently, I met a friend of mine. So he launched a retail store around 2 years back, just 1 year prior to COVID.
Yeah.
I met him last week. He was talking about like how he's actually able to break even his store. He was telling about like what challenges he faced. So I felt inspired by him. I felt that coming from a background, he didn't know what retail store is. He took that risk. He started a retail store, organized retail store.
Yeah.
Now he's talking about, bhai, I want to build 10 more stores like this in next 2 years. So I feel that he is a person to actually talk to. He has some energy. He's not talking about any funda. He's not talking about anything new which others have not done, but he has that energy. So I like to talk to people who have energy in them, who actually, when you talk to them, you also feel inspired that you don't only get inspiration from something new or something great. You can get inspired from normal routine things also.
Of course.
So that is what I believe in.
So there was this time I actually started, back in 2017, I started this electronic music production academy where I used to like teach students how to compose music for films and all, how to DJ and that sort of stuff. So back then I wasn't able to get students and all. So I saw this video by this guy called Grant Cardone. So he said, dude, if you are going to expect that, people are going to come to your office and they're going to ask you for your service, that's never going to happen. So just pick up the phone and just talk to them. I'm like, yeah. And I used to be really, it used to make me feel really awkward to actually pick up the phone and talk to a stranger. But then I started liking it after like a couple of months. And like that, if I think about it right now, that was like a major motivation for me, like coming from like a video, like a free content on YouTube, and it got me so inspired. And I actually, that was really amazing. Like for me, I found that video and then I started following that. Like,
so actually, unfortunately, what has happened is like, so startups who get funded, startups who are always in the media, they have been glamorized so much that people forget about, like, if we have those maybe 100 or 500 glamorized startups, there are small startups like us. Those are like maybe in millions who are doing good work, small and happy being small. I mean, it is okay. I mean, we are happy being small.
Yes.
I mean, so, and there are a lot of small stories which can come from those startups. Just that they are not being in that zone, like where they are being talked about everywhere, does not mean that the stories cannot come from them or the inspiration cannot come from them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
One of my mentor, Mr. Dhruv Nath, I've invited him on the podcast also. He wrote this book on how to get funded and other nightmares is what he called this as. And he spoke about like, it's like when you talk about startups, it should not always be about these big companies, Flipkart and all of these, because they are just handful of people, just 1% of the total ecosystem. And you should not always talk about the success of a startup. You also go to ask them about the failures. And when they fail, like talk to them right next, like on the next day, when they have shut down their company, talk to them what they're going through. And that is going to make you, you know, aware you about the situation more than a successful startup for that matter.
Yeah.
Was,
and definitely we I mean, I don't take credit from those successful startups. They are definitely success because of some reason, definitely.
Of course.
I mean, we have those icons. Yeah. But this, I think you are right. I mean, we learn more from failures than from success.
Yeah. Because failure is almost like painful, no? And like pain actually, enhances growth. Like when you go to gym and you feel pain.
You know what? You asked me question about recruitment and like what do I look for people when I recruit. So even after recruitment, I have not a very formal, very informal way of training people. And failure is failure is planned part of that training. I intentionally give them some things which I know that they will fail. So I want to, so generally what happens is like when a new employee comes, he expect like, if I don't know anything, someone would help me. So I give them some assignments, which I know that they won't be able to do it. And then I observe like how they behave after that. Like whether they spend time on that, whether they come up to me or they look on internet or they ask their colleagues, right? So when people join here, I tell them, guys, just alongside job, next 6 months, think that you are under schooling. You are being schooled for some things which have never been taught to you in the school and nor in colleges, neither in colleges and nor in the jobs. So please be open for that and don't mind that if I tell you a very simple thing which you feel that कि सर मुझे ये क्यों दे रहे हैं, मेरा तो ये रैंक थोड़ा ना कि आप मेरे से ये काम करवाओगे. So that is again talking about the starter philosophy. Yeah.
मैं वो काम करूंगा जो मुझे बोला गया है, उसके अलावा नहीं. But this is also very beautiful, this happens in the army also. कि मतलब they have to get up in the morning and within 10 minutes they have to get ready, polish their shoes and everything. The commander knows that they won't be able to do it, but they still want to see how they react in that pressure situation.
Yeah, so I feel that one of the biggest successes in my company, I would say that having a good team and retaining that team and still working with them. So I feel that there must be some reason like the things are being managed here, so people are sticking for long, right? So I read it somewhere that people leave their bosses, they don't leave their companies, right? So I try to be a decent boss so that people are also happy. Because see, I feel that, say I need to get work done and they need to work wherever they work, right? So I feel that if both things can be in sync, why there has to be a friction between the team and the person leading it? Why there has to be a friction? Every company, these two things have to happen. No matter what happens. These two things have to happen, right? So why there has to be friction in this?
Of course. So like how did like when the lockdown and everything got over, how was the scene? Like how did you start calling in people? What was the environment like?
So in terms of team structure, or you're talking about the business, or you're talking about?
Like in general, the environment of the company, how did that change post the lockdown?
One big change I'm seeing is like people want to work from home now. They don't want to come to office.
Share ko khoon lag gaya.
And I am very much against work from home. I mean, since beginning, I'm very much against this philosophy. When people join, I tell them very, very clearly that you will never get work from home here. Don't come up to me and discuss this and then feel bad that sir denied ki bhai work from home nahi mila. Or now this has become a big problem for me. So this is a big challenge I'm facing right now. But ultimately, right now I have told to people just come once a day to office because most of the work is happening from work from home. So I've told them just come once a day. Even in once a day, some people feel reluctant.
क्या जरूरत है
Sorry,
घर से करवा नहीं
once
सकते
a
आप?
week. So I meant once a week. Sorry. Yeah.
That's good. So a little gossip question. Would that be all right?
Yeah, sure.
How's your social life? What do you do? Are you social? Are you like? Do you like meeting a
I'm
lot of
very
people?
much. Yeah, I'm very social, but not party kinds. I like to meet friends. I like to play. I regularly meet people. Like I can even talk to strangers. I don't find any hesitation talking to strangers. Like if I'm on a train, a stranger is sitting beside me, so I don't need anything. I can just 5-6 hours. I can just manage with that stranger.
Yeah.
So,
Same.
but I like, yeah. But I like with I have a friend circle, like people whom I like to meet frequently. So I like meeting them frequently, having a casual discussion, talking about normal things happening in life. So I like being social, but not party types ki bahar khana khane jana hai, loud music and all, not that kind of stuff.
How about like in a market situation and you see someone and do you go up to someone, hey, nice shoes, man, what's up? Hi.
Not really. I mean, there was a time when I was in college, so we used to do all that kind of stuff, but not now.
Yeah.
अब बच्चे हो गए यार, आप नहीं कर सकते ये.
So yeah, like these international companies that you got on board as the client, how do you reach out to them? Do you like send them a mail and then you take it on from there, or like how?
Actually, we have only one or two, and they are like since beginning. So my cousin is there, so he had some links there. So that's how it started. Yeah.
That was just a boring question that I wanted to just tune in. So yeah, that was it. Thank you for coming. Is there anything that you would like to ask me, like personally? Like, do you want to ask something to me?
Yeah. So, what is your plan about this podcast? Like, where do you see this going, and what? Because there are a lot of people doing this kind of podcasts. So what is your plan, and what motivates you to do this?
Initial was to just create content. Like when I started the first episode and the second episode, my plan was to just do this podcast with musicians and share their experiences, the musicians who are working in the industry. And then I did like a couple of episodes. I'm like, dude, this is really hectic. We're talking about the same thing again. I need to get some people who are from a different field and who are like more mature than, us people. We are just 20, 25-year-old talking about stuff and nobody wants to listen to it. So something inspirational and some people who are successful in their life have to come on board for this. So that was the idea. So initially it started just as a way to create content, to engage people, because like I told you, like I do the social media thing for hospitality brands and for artists, for personal brands, and for the motivational speakers as well. So I manage their social media and everything. So that's how it started. So I'm like, I am telling them every day to do something and I'm not doing anything myself. Like, what does it do? Like, do something about it. You're telling them to make a podcast. Are you doing that yourself? I'm like, dude, I have to do this. And also I like being in front of the camera, just to tell you the truth. Like I like to see myself on the screen. Yeah,
I think this is good. I mean, you should start. I mean, it will take time, and I'm sure eventually you would have those biggies also on your podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, sure. Please come over to office. We are close. I think you told Kalkaji, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in Faridabad. It's quite close.
Yes, I will come.
Sometime. Most
Your
welcome.
wish is my command.
Sure. Okay, bye.
See you. Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Bye.